Good morning, everyone. Or as you say, Jai Hind. Okay, so I'll just give you a little brief about the flow. I'll just introduce myself briefly, although she's introduced me very well, but maybe just a little bit of a background into myself. You can hear me at the back? Okay, and then I'll give you a little bit of an insight into Fujitsu, and then we look at some trends that are there in IT. Now, I know that you have been doing many days of sessions with various people, so I don't want this to be a one-way session. I want it to be interactive, okay? So I want you all to ask questions, okay? If you don't ask me questions, I'll ask you questions, okay? Especially the backbenchers. Okay, as a former backbencher, I know backbenchers, so I want questions from across the audience. Okay, so just to give you a little bit of an insight into Fujitsu, right? We are number 1 in market share in Japan and 49th worldwide. We have over 113,000 employees in different countries. We completed 90 years in 2025, which was last year. So now we are effectively a 90-year-old company. Going forward, just to give you the history of Fujitsu, the company was established in 1935. You must have heard about it. It started off as a technological company, which was into computers, telephones, various other devices. In 1950s to 1990, they then transitioned into the IT consulting field. And now Fujitsu is, like we said, 49th in the world as an IT consulting firm. From everything, including, I know you're a SAP batch, so we have the 3S, which is SAP, Salesforce, and ServiceNow. That's one of our services that we offer to clients across the world. So going forward in terms of our strategy, so something that is very important to Fujitsu is sustainability. Okay, so that is something that is a priority from a global perspective. So if you see, the vision is to be a technology company that focus on net positive. So we have a target of net carbon zero by 2035. Again, materiality, we look at planet, prosperity, and people. This is where we work. We have 19,000 people in Europe, 4,000 in East Asia, 67,000 in Japan, which is our biggest population, 4,000 in the US, and 19,000 in Asia Pacific. So we have around 7,500 in India across 5 locations. This is Fujitsu Research. So this is a sister company of Fujitsu Consulting. It's into AI, primarily into AI. And they are looking at quantum computing and a lot of state-of-the-art technology. So if you have some time, you can just look into Fujitsu Research. This is Fujitsu India at a glance. So we've got 5 locations: Noida, Pune, Hyderabad, Bangalore, and Chennai. And around 7,500 employees in all the 5 locations. Pune is our head office, so we have the largest population in Pune, which is around 4,000 resources. Okay. So before I go into this, I'll just give you a very brief introduction to myself. So she already told you my name is Melrose Rebeiro. I have been in the industry for 23 years. So I have been in a myriad of different HR roles. And right now I'm a strategic HR BP, which means we work along with business to devise everything from their medium-term plan, their annual term plan. We are very, very in sync with business strategy. We know what their financials are. We are a part of all discussion so that we can help the business grow forward, right? So human resources is not just about administrative tasks, it's about strategic tasks where you align with business and help them to achieve their goals from a people perspective and a processes perspective. So I have been in Fujitsu for about 4 years. Prior to that, I was running my own firm for around 18 years, which is again into e-learning and IT consulting. So that's just a little bit about myself. And now you must have heard this quote a lot, right? So what does it mean? So it's a very basic quote which we've heard a lot, which says that if you always do what you always did, you'll always get what you always got. But for me, you have to take it one step forward, which means if you do what everyone else is doing, you are making yourself replaceable, okay? How many students in this class? Okay, so around 300 plus. How many students in your college? Yeah. So in your entire college, approximate numbers? Okay, say 500. How many MBAs in India? In your batch? How many MBAs in the world? 300,000. So you are one of 300 in this batch. You are one of 300,000 in the world. What makes you different? Right? You have to be able to answer this question. What makes you different from 300,000 people? Okay, forget 300,000. What makes you different from 320 people in this batch? Okay, good. So she says personality, right? Or your characteristics. What else?
Willingness to do everything which is required. Like
Okay.
there are 320 plus people here, so everyone don't have that courage to speak. They are not ready to learn every time. So if you are ready to do this, then you are amongst the top 10 or top 5 or maybe in top 1%.
Okay.
And start competing everywhere. Like you have friends, you have colleagues, it's a good thing for us.
Okay.
But everyone is a competition, and if you can't look at them with that vision, you will be get replaced very easily in a month or in a year.
What's your name?
I'm Yogesh.
Yogesh. Just remember Yogesh's name, Rati. Okay, I'll check back in a year what Yogesh has learned that is different from everybody else.
Yes,
It's a very good point, right? But you have to stay true to it.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, right. So what else? Yes. Okay.
We should upskills ourselves along with the changes which is going on in the market.
Yeah. Okay, good. So you have to differentiate yourself, let's say starting off with the 320 people in this batch. Now, what does your college do? Your college has given you certain courses, right? They're giving you certain foundational programs, whatever. They're getting speakers from the industry to speak to you. Maybe they're getting other industry experts during the year, right? That is how your college is differentiating what they offer versus other colleges, right? So they are differentiating you as a batch versus other colleges. But it's up to you to differentiate yourself individually. They can't do that for you, right? You have to, and it's not just now, it is forever in your career. You have to differentiate yourself. So I want you to just remember that at this point of time, all of you are somewhere at the same level, right? There may be marginal bumps and dips depending on your experience, your background, right? How much you've read before, if you have some experience in the past. So there are very marginal bumps and dips between each one of you. 5 years from now, it will be a lot more pronounced. Some of you will go past the others, and some of you will be left behind. Right? It is a fact. So there will be people who will advance faster than you. They will get better jobs, better salaries, better positions. After 10 years, what do you think will happen? The difference will be so vast that even if you wanted to, you cannot catch up. So the idea is that you don't wait for the situation where your peers have risen to managerial levels and you're still in a lower management or a middle management level, right? The idea is that you take those measures so that you're not at the bottom of the dip, right? So those bumps and dips should not be so significant for you because you will not be able to catch up with the people who have gone past. So how do people go past? How do some people advance in their careers faster than others? Yes.
Jay ma'am, my name is Ashtiwari, and answer to your question is start competition within the self, not with others.
Okay, so how will you do that?
By analyzing SWOT method.
Okay.
It means that S stands for strength and W stands for weakness.
So what is your weakness? What is your opportunity?
My weakness is that I'm ambivert.
Okay.
And ambivert.
So how does ambivert make it a weakness?
Ma'am, ambivert refers to that person wants to talk with everyone, but it limits their friendship or circle.
Okay.
It means that he focuses on quality rather than quantity.
Okay. So I'm in HR, I'm in a leadership role. I am not outgoing. I am not, how would you say, an extrovert.
Yes,
You don't have to be an extrovert. Okay, you can be approachable, you can be able to lead a conversation, have a conversation, but you don't have to be an extrovert. But you have to develop the skills where you can start a conversation and continue a conversation, right? So it's perfectly fine to be an ambivert or even an introvert, right? But it's just that at the workplace, you have to just find out ways of dealing with it.
Sure, ma'am.
Okay?
Jen, ma'am.
Jayant. Okay, anyone else? How can you ensure that you will grow faster than everybody else in this room? Yes. Okay, so what will you update in yourself? How will you don't have to tell me the names of the skills, but how will you update yourself? Okay. Okay.
I'll improve that
Okay. How will you improve your communication?
by
By
talking to people
reading.
and by reading.
Yes, by reading a lot, by speaking, by reading the newspaper out loud, by reading magazines out loud. If you're reading your textbook, read it out loud. The more you read, the more your communication will improve. Okay? Good. So there's certain things that you cannot control, right? She gets into the IT industry, somebody else gets into banking and financial services, somebody else gets into IT consulting or a consulting firm or the big four. You cannot control everything. You cannot control how fast an industry grows. You cannot control what kind of a manager you get, right? If your manager is visible and you are good, you will get visibility. If your manager is not visible, your visibility is limited, okay? So you can be a really great contributor in the organization, but if nobody knows what you're doing, right, you will not be able to grow. So there are a lot of external factors that affect your growth in an organization. Don't worry too much about the external factors because they are not in your control, right? But there are factors which are in your control. And like some of you said, it is upgrading of your knowledge and skills, right? Reading, you have to know about the industry. So a lot of people go for interviews, and I'm not talking about fresh MBAs, even people in the industry. They go for an interview, they don't know who's the CEO of the company. They don't know what is the headcount. They don't know what is the presence of that company in the country or globally. So you have to have a lot of industry knowledge. That's the first thing. Second thing is you have to keep upgrading your skills and your knowledge. Now say for example, your core is SAP. Eventually you want to be a leader. So you have to have good financial knowledge, right? Because anybody who becomes a business unit head, eventually you have to have financial knowledge. You have to have strategic knowledge. You should have good information about people and processes. So upgrade your knowledge and skills, read, and you have to do something different. If you're all reading the same textbooks and you're all attending the same seminars, then nothing differentiates one from the other. So you have to read beyond that. You have books, so many books by really good authors, right? You've got really management greats who've written books. You've got stories of people who formed companies. Read that because you'll get an insight into how their minds work, okay? So just, you have these, actually you have got many Ks of lean. You've got Kaizen, Kakushin, Kojo. So these are Japanese terms. Have any of you heard of it? Yeah. So the initial one that came was Kaizen, which says small incremental improvements, right? That was the first thing that came out. And it traditionally started off with manufacturing firms. Then it moved into IT and everything else. Now you have Kakushin, which means disruptive, game-changing innovation, right? So if you want to be someone exceptional, you have to identify how do I be disruptive as an MBA, as an SAP person, as a manager, right? As a leader. What differentiates you in your industry? What differentiates you? And you start off with this batch. You have 2 years where you don't have any other pressures of what to deliver. So you have to start off with differentiating yourself now, right? So disruptive, game-changing innovation. How many of you read books? Okay. Name of the book? Shiv Khera, okay? Okay, still good. Yes. Yes. Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. Yes. Has anybody read Robin Sharma, The 5 a.m. Club? If you can, read it because it's very interesting. He tells you very small ways in which you can incorporate that into your life. Yes, you wanted to tell me some other book. The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho. Okay. Good. So not too many book readers. Yes. You're reading? Rich Dad Poor Dad. Robert Kiyosaki. Okay. Yes. $1,000 Splendid sunlight. Okay, okay, good. Yes? Sun Tzu. Yes, okay, The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Good, good book. Yes,
Now I am reading Leadership.
Leadership
Leadership
by?
by author. No, I don't know author name right. Leadership. Now I started.
Okay, so you should know the author. You should
Yeah.
know the author. You should know a little bit about the author.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Right? Because you want to know whose thoughts you're trying to imbibe.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay.
Thank
Yes.
you.
The book I last read was Surrounded by Idiots.
Okay.
And as for the author, I am poor with remembering names, so
Okay.
I don't know his name.
He read the book Surrounded by Idiots. But it was before you joined this college.
Yes.
Yes. What is it about? Because I haven't heard of it.
It is basically about the author has divided the majority of the peoples, the masses, into four categories, and these four categories have different colors such as blue, green, red, and yellow.
Okay.
And as for these colors represent certain traits on a human. And if you want to grasp an person's personality, so this book can actually help you. As the color red, it indicates that the person is really aggressive. As for the yellow, the person is really very friendly and talkative. As for the blue, the person is really analytical. And as for the green, the person is really calm and adaptive.
So what are the colors? Is it what people wear? Is it what people choose?
No,
What
no.
is it?
The colors represent their personalities.
But how do you associate a color with a person's personality?
So as for the color green, so if you see a person, if you talk with them, so you will know if that person is really very calm, he's agreeing with you on almost everything that you say. Then you can guess that the personality trait, the personality color of that person is green. But if that person is really analytical, he's very sharp-minded, and he makes quick decisions. So you can grasp that the personality trait color of that particular person is blue. As for if any person is really really talkative, really friendly, so you can guess that the personality trait color of that person is yellow.
Okay,
As for
so basically you bucket them in two colors.
Yes, ma'am.
Depending on the interaction. So what happens is when you interact with people, like what he said, if you're able to gauge a person, it will help you if you want to negotiate with a person, right? If you're negotiating with your boss for a salary, you're negotiating with a potential suitor for marriage, right? Anything in life. If you're able to identify the person's personality or their behavioral traits, it will actually make it easier for you to get to a solution that is amicable. Have you heard of Mark McCormack? He's the person who started off this whole concept of profiteering from sports personalities, which means sports personalities getting money for advertisements, right? So he's the one who pioneered that concept. So Mark McCormack was the toughest negotiator that anyone would be with. But at the end of the negotiation, people would always feel like I got a fair deal. Do you understand the difference? It's like he didn't give you the leeway to push him, but at the end of that whole topic, you felt like, okay, fine, I got a fair deal. So being able to negotiate where you are keeping that person's consideration also in mind. You're not squeezing the life out of that person, right? But being able to negotiate where you get the best for yourself and you also get a reasonable deal for the other person. That is the whole idea about negotiation. So I'll just put it in short. So how do you differentiate yourself from everybody else? You have technical skills which you all are developing. You have other skills which you are learning in general. The one key differentiator for all of you will be soft skills, right? What are soft skills? Yes, correct? Okay, okay, yeah. So he says communication, leadership, teamwork, sit. Right? I'll give you an example. We have got some really great engineers, and I'm not talking only about Fujitsu, I'm talking about a lot of companies, not only in India, but around the world. Okay, we have certain people who have niche skills, which means coveted skills. So companies will pay a premium to get those people. They are technically very sound, right? But you put them into a client environment, or you put them in front of an account team. They are unable to articulate their ideas. They are unable to communicate what they want to say. So you might have a really great idea, you might have a wonderful business plan, you might have a great IT product, but if you're not able to communicate that, to articulate that to the client, then what is the use of that skill, right? So you have to have soft skills, you have to develop your soft skills, and you can only develop that, it's like a sport. You can't just read a book on communication skills and it develops, right? You can't learn tennis by reading a book. You have to read it, you have to try and implement it on a day-to-day basis. So the one thing that you have to focus on is soft skills. Everything from, even from negotiation skills, right? Interpersonal skills, leadership, networking, personal branding. So these are some areas that you need to work on as an individual. So hopefully that should develop you against everyone else in the batch. Okay, now I want to open it for questions. I want you to ask me questions, anything that you might have to do with your career, to do with a way forward, to do with anything. Yes. Do we have a clock somewhere here? What's the time? 10:27. Yes, yes.
Hello, hello. Jain ma'am and konnichiwa. As someone who is aspiring to work in Japan,
Okay.
apart from clearing JLPT, what else I can work upon myself to be suited for that scenario of work-life culture in Japan? As you know, the work-life culture in Japan is too rigorous.
Yes.
So how to survive it?
So this is a misnomer actually. The work-life culture in Japan is not rigorous. I know it's something that's been going around on social media, but it's not like that. It is absolutely normal. It's just like everywhere else, but they are more formal. So you have to arrive on time, right? And if you're doing JLPT, you have to do all the 5 levels, right? You start off with 5, 4, 3, 2, whatever. So you need to have whatever, just improve your Japanese, because there's a lot of spoken Japanese. People who can speak advance faster if they go to Japan. We have a lot of resources who are working in Fujitsu, India or other countries, and then they make the move to Japan, right? So one is the language, of course. The other thing is the work-life culture is absolutely fine. You just have to be very, very professional, which means you reach on time, you ensure that you do your work. The other thing is the way we present data. So a lot of times, especially in India, it's like not a very, I would say, organized approach at providing data. So people don't want to see long pages of research. If they ask you for something, they want to see a very quick snapshot of what the analysis is, what is your recommendation, and what are the reasons for your recommendation. So you have to learn how to present data, right? That is something which is more important than anything else. Okay. Yes. So you have no questions, you're all industry ready. Yes. Okay.
Is there any demand for fintech roles, or I have to choose another specialization? I'm a little bit confused.
No, there are fintech roles, of course. So even in IT companies, you have something called service desk, right? So service desk, do you know what service desk? So service desk basically means you are an expert in any one field. So it could be legal, it could be finance, it could be HR. But you're not a part of the corporate support functions. You are a part of the service desk, which means you're providing it as a service to a customer. So even finance is a solution that is being offered to a client.
Okay.
So it's there, and the biggest IT companies will have it, right?
Fintech roles.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Right, so you can focus on finance, and it can be as a service offering.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you, ma'am.
you're
Thank you so
welcome.
much.
Yes.
And ma'am, my name is Anand. Ma'am, as a fresher, I am actually finding it difficult which role to opt for. Like, we don't have too much knowledge on what actually happens in those roles and how will we do in them. So I am finding it difficult to how to choose different job roles.
Okay. So when you say job roles, this is you're all an SAP batch, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So when you say job roles, what do you mean? Within SAP?
Ma'am, we have SAP, but we also have finance. We can go in different
Okay.
roles also.
Okay.
It's a great skill, but as a career, we can also change our directions.
So finance, HR, operations, for example, right? You can sit. So all of these are known as corporate support functions. Do you know what that means? What is corporate support functions? Yes. Yeah.
Corporate support function are the ones who helps the business to grow and helps the
Yes.
business to operate.
Yes, yes, very good. Can anyone elaborate what he said? If you understood what he said? Did you hear what he said? Okay, so did you understand what he meant? So you have business. Say for example, you have SAP people who are working on projects for the client getting business in, right? Or you have engineers, or you've got people in cloud, right? Or in AI, which is a service that you're offering to the customer and you're getting paid for it. So you are a billable role, which means you're getting business into the company. Corporate support functions means you are a cost to the company. You are a cost to the company, but basically your role is to support the business people, right? So finance, marketing, HR, right? All of these, legal, these are all support functions. You're not getting any business to the company, right? What he spoke about fintech is different. Fintech means he's offering finance as a service to the customer. You might have legal teams in service desk who are drafting legal agreements for customers. Then you're a billable resource and you're getting that money into the company. But corporate support functions basically means that you are the back office person who is supporting the business. So you are a cost to the company. You are a non-billable resource, but it's still a very important function, right? And they are well paid, so don't worry. Okay, so corporate support functions is also very well paid. You are basically the backbone to the business people, right? If you don't have finance doing all of the accounts, what are the purchase orders, how much am I billing people? So most people are billed per hour, right? So they do the entire calculations. What are the profitability? What are my budgets? What are my profits? So those are the finance people from corporate support functions. Then you have HR, you have legal. So these are support functions. So support functions are also a very good role to get into. It depends on which company you get into, right? So if it's a really big company, or it's a company where there's somebody who has very good expertise in that, whom you can learn under, right? Then that is a good option. So even BFSI is a good option for you, right? IT companies might have a smaller finance team, but it's still a good area for you to learn. So it doesn't matter. If you can just decide which one, or you do your project in one core area and you see if that interests you, right? Maybe you can also do a simultaneous project if it's possible and see if that interests you more, right? So that depends, but both roles are good. It just depends on what interests you and what you can sustain in the long run, okay? Because you have to like your job in the long run. If you don't like what you do, you will not be able to grow in it. Yes.
Jai Hind, ma'am. My name is Aditya Rich. So, ma'am, what type of roles or opportunities does Fujitsu offer in operations and SCM field?
And SCM?
Yes, ma'am.
So we have, so operations, again, it would be like a back office, unless you're an engineer who's a part of a service. So if you choose something like supply chain management as a, again, like a service offering, right? Then you're a billable person, so there are opportunities for that as well. If you want to be a part of delivery, which means you are figuring out the back-end work of how, you're offering that as a service to your customer, then it's again a back-end job. But both are, it depends. Depends on your skill and your expertise on how much you would get compensated, how interesting the role would be, how you would grow. But if it's between the two of them, then a billable role where you're serving a client is obviously preferable, right? Because then you'll get a chance to work with different clients and different supply chains, right? SCM interests you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, why?
Ma'am, I have engineering background and my job is in SCM.
Okay, okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. So even if you look at companies like manufacturing, or even those companies are good if you want to do hardcore supply chain management, right? That is also an option. Not supply chain management as a service, which is what it is in IT companies, right? Yes.
Jai Hind, ma'am. My name is Aritra Barat, ma'am. Ma'am, as you have said that we have to be different from others to go in the corporate field. And one of the reasons you have said that we have to learn from others. We have to be a curious mind. We have to learn from others to be different. So my question is, ma'am, what made you different from others? And as one junior in the corporate that will take step in corporate field to a senior that is already in the corporate field, I want to ask, what skills can I actually learn from you to be different from others?
Okay. So if you compete with me, you will lose. that is my basic premise. I have always been very competitive. I was a sports person, so for me, competing is everything, as right from a young age. But I'll give you a different example. So like I said earlier, I ran my own company for 18 years, which means I looked after everything. Everything from finance to marketing to managing the sales team to developing the HR products. So I had a full knowledge of everything. When I applied for this job in Fujitsu, this was in 2023. So I was already in my early 40s, and I had applied for an L&D role, right, learning and skills, because I came from an LNS background. When I went for the interview, the VP told me, no, you take a head of HR role for business partnering. He just told me that. I said, I've never done it before. So he said, it doesn't matter. Even I did LNS for 17 years, and then I switched into business partnering. If I can do it, you can do it. That was my only conversation, and then I joined the job. Okay? So I did not have a clue, and business partnering is very, very complex. It's not simple at all. So when I joined the job, for the first 6 months, I had to learn what business partnering is. I had to take care of my stakeholders. I had to also do what regular BAU is. You know what's BAU? Your regular tasks that you're responsible for, your business as usual. It's called business as usual. So I had to be responsible for BAU. I had to be responsible for also learning what the role was and also delivering it. Okay? When I joined, there were 4 people who joined at the same level. Those people came with rich business partnering experience. Okay? And you have to remember one thing in the corporate world, people may not help you. Because like he said, everyone is competing with you, right? 4 people joined together. I was the only person who was promoted in 1 year. Okay? So if you have to learn something from me, I would say that I don't leave any stone unturned. If I have to learn something, if I need to know something, I will do my research into it, right? So I will do the groundwork for it. I will work very hard. I will outwork people. No, not from A to Z you have to do everything, but you have to put your effort. If you need to know something about a role, see, you can't learn everything in any field anyway. But if you're getting into a certain role, you have to learn what is the role about. You'll keep learning as you progress also, but you need to work hard, which means you put in, maybe I put double the effort for the first 6 months, right? To learn also and to develop, and maybe other people are not used to putting that double the effort, or maybe they thought, I'm already from that background, I don't need to do it. Right? So yeah, so you have to just do whatever it takes to move faster than people around you. Which quotation? No, I said don't leave any stone unturned. Yes. You want to take? Okay.
So according to my known people, they say HRM has a slow career growth in compared to finance or supply chain. So what is your perspective on this as an HR?
Okay, so nothing is slow and nothing is fast. It really depends on you. But like I said earlier, there are certain external factors also that come into play. So say for example, if it's depends on the industry you're in, right? So an example is HR does really well in BFSI, in banking and financial services. It does really well in IT companies, right? Global IT companies maybe even more so than if you look at maybe a local IT company, right? So depending on which role you take, what organization you join, right? Where you're getting to learn from someone. So if you have somebody, and the other thing is, for anyone who's young and not just in this part of your career, but any time in your career, you have to identify a mentor in the organization, okay? It doesn't have to be your manager, it has to be a mentor. So find someone, and this is especially important for diversity, okay? Find a mentor in the organization, make sure you have a one-on-one with that person. It can be anyone who's senior. So that person knows what your work is, they can recommend you for projects, they will, you know, like I said, visibility. They will help you get visibility. So that is one thing that you have to do, get a really good mentor in the organization that will help you to grow. But there is nothing like finance will grow faster, or HR will grow faster, or something will grow slower, or SCM will grow faster. There's nothing like that. It depends on you, it depends on the role you get. So for example, if you're getting an entry-level job in an organization, I would still say go into something specialist like business partnering, or compensation and benefits. Go into something special. Don't get into talent acquisition, right? Because talent acquisition is still a lot of grinding work and it's more repetitive. See, what is the whole concept of AI? What's going to happen to jobs when AI comes in?
Jai Hind ma'am, my name is Anuj Malviya. Ma'am, the repeated tasks will be eliminated from the ground levels.
Yes.
So we have
any
to get
task that is repetitive will be automated, right? So as a human being, if you're doing a repetitive task, that will be automated and then you will be out of a job. So like if you're looking at talent acquisition, if I'm looking at screening of CVs or searching for profiles on a job site, right? That can be easily done by AI. But if you're doing strategic TA, which means you're helping the organization design what are my requirements for workforce going forward, right? How many people do I need to hire? How many people do I need to onboard in the organization? If you're doing a strategic task, you're still there. But entry level, if you're getting into an organization, try and get into business partnering or compensation and benefits or shared services, because that's a very rich experience that you'll get, and it has a faster trajectory. Okay, but you have to read up about business partnering and compensation and benefits. If you're good with numbers, then do comp and ben. It's a very, very well-paying role in HR. So the thing is, a lot of people don't really know what all HR entails, right? Do you know the sub-functions of HR? So you'll probably learn it along the way, but there's a lot of different sections in HR. A lot of people think that HR is either only recruitment or talent acquisition and maybe engagement. It's not. So there are so many different subsections in human resources itself, right? Like I said, shared services, compensation and benefits. You have IMG, you have business partnering. You have so many different, you have got HRIS, HRES, where we have a lot of engineers actually who are working. We have MBAs in analytics who get into HRES and HRIS because it's all about numbers and sheets and software, right? So HR is a very dynamic field, but you have to learn about it. Yes. Sorry, we'll go in order.
Jai Hind, ma'am. My name is Aryan Chaturvedi. Ma'am, first of all, thank you very much for introducing me to this corporate support function. I've really got it, that what I want to do. And second of all, I am from finance background, so I am looking for a job role that will be in finance, whether it is investing, financing, or operations.
Okay.
So can you tell me how should I move forward towards it? Any skills that I can get or anything that I can focus to?
Yeah. So finance, which is not my core area, but for finance, I would still say you should just know what are the new tools and technologies that are coming out. Because now what happens is a lot of organizations have got software for managing different aspects of each of these roles. So say for finance, you'll have specific software. Like for HR, I know you've got different kinds of ERP and we know what are the types of them. So for finance also, you have to find out what are the different software that's there. How do I get myself familiarized with it, right? What are the different roles within finance? There are various different roles. You've got procurement, you've got pure finance, right? So you have to find out what are you good at. If you're good at negotiating, at dealing with people, then you can get into procurement, right? And procurement is a very valued partner for business because procurement helps to save cost in millions, right? So you'll see procurement people getting a lot of awards and accolades and a lot of recognition. So if you're good in that space, then you can look at procurement. If you're good in core finance, devising strategies, calculating budgets, then you can get into core finance. So just find out what are the different avenues for you in finance and what are the tools and skills that you should be abreast. You don't have to know it exactly, you will obviously learn it along the way, but just to have a basic idea at least.
Actually, that's what I hesitate in. If to talk to people and closing the deal, maybe that's what I am. I'm more of a geek and more of a number guy.
Okay, fine. So you're more of a core finance guy.
Yeah,
okay.
So thank you very much.
Yes, yes, you're welcome. Yes.
Jai Hind, ma'am. My name is Aryesh Shrivastava. My question was that, ma'am, in global organization like Fujitsu, how important is cross-cultural communication and adaptability for young professionals?
Yeah, okay, very, very nice question. So I'll just tell you, for the last 3 years, I was handling India, okay? And now for the last 1 year, I'm handling 5 countries. So one example that I'll give you is people in Poland. When they talk, you feel as if they're being very, very rude. Okay, so a lot of Indians get offended. A lot of people in Philippines also. So basically Asians and Southeast Asians, they find it very offensive. But people from Poland, like when I used to give that feedback back to them, it's like, no, they're not being rude, they're being direct. Right? So that's their way of talking. They're not trying to be rude, they're trying to be direct, but the way they speak, a lot of people find it offensive. So that is one. The other thing is people in India tend to say yes for everything.
Yes.
Okay, it is a cultural thing that we have, right? Because we don't like to question. Your manager tells you do this, you'll say yes. You know, how can I tell my manager no? So we tend to be very, we acquiesce to things, saying yes, okay, I'll do this, I'll do that. And in the bargain, we take on sometimes so much of work that you can't do any of it properly, right? So you have to learn the nuances of our own culture as well. It's not that we know our culture very well. There are certain traits. When someone told me this, that when you first came into my team, I thought that you might say yes to everything. And then I was like, huh. At times we don't realize it. It's like, it's so inbuilt in our character. And when we're interacting with people around us, it's like, it's just a normal thing. So when someone looks at you from outside, then you realize, okay, these are the nuances of my culture. Like Japanese culture, like he said, is again very different, right? They're very formal, they're very quiet. If you live in Japan, you can't break a line, right? They don't like children talking loudly in public. So it's a very formalized kind of a culture. So you have to learn about these cultures, because if you do, then you can adapt. And it's not necessary that you have to travel there. But if you're dealing with people from Poland or Portugal or Europe or the US, if you know some things about that culture, you'll be able to interact with them better. Whether it's negotiating, whether it's getting a deal done, whether it's selling your ideas, whether it's even applying for a job. Right? If you want to grow in your career, you want to move to the US, you want to move to a different country, knowing cultures will help you to be able to they will be more receptive to you. Right? So you can negotiate with people, you can interact with them, you can sell your ideas if you understand the different cultures. If I had to rank cross-cultural management, I will rank it among the highest needed skills. It's one of the highest needed skills, right? Because people don't like it. And they might ask someone in India to give a presentation, they might give a very long, like I said earlier, very long presentation with lots of data to show that, okay, look, I worked so hard on it. They don't want to see that. They want to see something concise and something which is very specific. So understanding culture is probably one of the most important things. Yeah. Yes.
There are many students who have work experience as a fresher. What do you recommend go ahead of them?
So you're saying that some people have experience, so how do freshers go ahead of them?
Yes, ma'am.
So anybody who has, so there's two types of experience. You have relevant experience and you have non-relevant experience, right? So if somebody has experience in finance and he wants to get into finance, then he has that experience with him, right? So you can't go past him in that, because he has something that has benefited him. It depends on how important that was, how much he learned. But what you can do is you can reduce your turnaround time when you join the job, which means you put an effort to learn faster. I'll give you an example. When children join nursery, there are some children who can speak English and some who can't, right? Because they come from homes where they speak local languages. So some children can speak English very quickly and everyone's like, wow, they speak such great English. 1 year from then, all the kids are speaking English, right? So it's something, maybe the person has an edge for a certain period of time. How much experience does that person have? Whoever's experienced, 1 year, 2 years, they don't have 20 years of experience, right? So you can bridge the gap. That's what I said in the beginning. The initial 5 years, you can still bridge the gap. So if someone has that much of experience and you put effort into learning and developing yourself, then you can easily at least be comparable to them, if not more.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, but it's all about effort. Yes.
Specialization should I choose to upgrade my father's business after working in an organization for 5 to 6 years?
So it's general store. So I would still say you need to look at everything, but maybe the most important priority thing for you would be marketing and branding, right? Because if you're able to identify, everything else will be a subsection of that. So if you identify like, how do I brand this more? See, what is your objective? Is your objective to get more business?
My business is my backup plan.
No, but what is the objective for that business? Do you want to grow the
Yes,
business?
ma'am, to grow the business.
Okay, fine. So if you want to grow the business, maybe.
My father has a small store, so
Yes.
but I want to make a big mall of.
Okay, fine, fine. So you want to grow the scope of your business. So if that is the case, then ideally it would be everything, right? Even in terms of planning, your long-term strategy, your short-term strategy. But the main thing that you need to focus on is marketing and branding. So what do I want it to be, right? How do I start branding it that way? And what steps do I need to take so that it gets there? So everything will have to work. You will have to work on supply. You will have to work on creating demand. You will have to work on maybe getting larger orders or a bigger space, right? There's a lot of things that go on in it, but largely I would still say marketing and branding. Yes. Only boys are asking questions. Girls are not asking questions. Even here the boys behind are asking questions. Okay, I'm going to come to you.
Hello. Jain ma'am, I'm Gautam Bhujwani. And as you said, you had your own company where you learned about all the operations, whether it's finance, accounting or head sales. So what made you quit it and join Fujitsu?
So COVID happened, unfortunately.
Oh.
Right, so when COVID happened, there were three years when, for example, there was a commercial property booked. So there was a huge EMI every month. There were salaries of employees that had to be paid. So for around 8-9 months that carried on, but then it turned out to be a white elephant. So you have to be able to accept when something is wrong, right? It's not that, look at the greatest people. Even if you read about the Honda company, right? He failed so many times. It doesn't mean that he was a bad businessman. Like I said, there's external factors, right? So you have to be able to identify when something is going wrong or when something is not sustainable and then move out of it. Because at times if you carry on for too long, you just end up being more in debt or more in trouble. And this is the same thing even if you're in a job tomorrow. If you feel like your job is a dead end, or you feel like you're not growing, or you feel like you're not learning from your management or your leadership, then you need to look for something else.
You mean adapt to uncertainty?
Yes, you need to adapt to uncertainty, and if you feel like something is stagnant, or you're stagnating, or you're not growing, then you need to take a decision on how you can change that situation.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Yes.
Jain ma'am, myself Prateek ma'am. What are the rules in HR after doing a CRM, and what is the future on it? And it is CRM.
No, but
what are the rules?
Roles?
Yes ma'am.
For CRM in HR?
Yeah.
Why CRM?
Ma'am, because it's related to the SAP. I think HR module. It's coming.
You're talking about ERP.
Yeah, ERP.
Okay, yes. So this for designing these systems, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you already have various systems. You've got Workday, you've got Success Factors, you've got various tools, even inbuilt tools that companies have, right? So if you want to get into that field, then see, it depends. You just have, literally every company has these tools, but a lot of them outsource it. So even for Fujitsu, we've got Success Factors, for example. A lot of companies have Workday, right? So if you want to get into a role where you're developing that, then you have to get into a company which is making that as a service, right? So any company which is designing it as a package solution. So say for example, you join SAP, right? The company where you're designing software for HR or for finance or whatever, right? So if you want to get into the designing of that or the improvement of those technologies, then you have to get into a company which is offering it as a solution, right? Not a company which is just buying the product and using it, right? Or you can get into a consulting role, which means that, say, for example, somebody is selling the SAP software, the Success Factors software, and you've got into a role where you can customize that for a client. So those roles are also there, but again, it comes from a perspective of a vendor. So a company which is selling the software as a solution.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Have a nice day, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes.
Jain ma'am, myself Love Chaudhary. So ma'am, for an MBA student looking for getting future ready for global organizations like Fujitsu.
Yeah.
So what all experience or project shall we pursue during our MBA?
What experience
or project shall we pursue during our MBA program?
So it depends on what role you're looking for. An SAP role?
Yeah, yes ma'am.
Okay, so when it comes to global companies, the main thing is like what he asked also, right? Cross-cultural management. You have to be able to understand the nuances of different cultures. The other one is you need to have really good soft skills. So your negotiation skills. So you can have excellent SAP knowledge, you can have excellent technical knowledge, but if you're not able to articulate, you're not able to communicate, then that is a barrier, right? Which means your ability to communicate effectively. So your ability to negotiate. So soft skills is something which is very, very important, more important in global companies. So, you know, at times when we speak, like if I'm interacting with my team in India, at times you might have a tendency of relapsing into a few words in Hindi, right? Or sometimes people even relapse in Marathi, people around me. And because we understand, it's okay. But when you have a global meeting and you have people from other countries, you have to be so vigilant that you don't use those words, you know, because it's offensive. It can be offensive to people. There was somebody who spoke in Tagalog once because there were Filipinas in the call. So she didn't even realize it and then she used it. So it's fine. People are accepting of it, but you have to just be aware, right? That now I'm in a company where there are global people around me. I need to be a little bit more culturally sensitive. You have to be careful of things like you have to be punctual, right? You have to make sure you present data in a manner that everybody can understand, right? So it's things like that. And generally, I would still say if you want to get into any role in a global company, it is all about soft skills. And you have to be good at your technical knowledge anyway, right?
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Yes.
Jain, ma'am. My name is Geet Saraf. Ma'am, I'm still figuring out my specialization between human resources and finance.
Okay.
So, ma'am, as we know the impact of AI in finance, and as you said that AI does repetitive tasks really well, and AI also does data handling really well, and the hiring has been reduced on that part. So, I'm genuinely curious at what extent and in what degree does AI and automation has its impact in human resources?
Okay. So if you're asking between finance and HR, you're asking an HR person. So the same impact, so I'll tell you something differently. We speak about repetitive tasks or, you know, routine tasks that will get automated. Do you think people who are senior can be replaced? Yes or no? How many say yes?
Yeah, they can be, perhaps.
Just raise your hands for yes. Can senior people be replaced as a consequence of AI? Okay, how many are saying no? Okay, so I'll tell you the answer is yes, senior people can get replaced, not by AI, but by someone else who is very familiar with AI. So if I'm able to use AI where I can make my work faster, better, more accurate, then I can replace the person next to me. So none of us are safe from AI, right? You have to adapt. AI is used to augment what you do. So if I have to make a decision, and I'll give you a very simple example, we have this engagement survey, right? So engagement survey, if you have a head count of 7,000 people, can you imagine how many comments come in the engagement survey? It's in like 20, 30,000 comments. Now, if I want to know what my people are saying, how do I evaluate that?
Ma'am, I guess one by one taking their feedback and...
You can't evaluate. People have put in their comments. It means a lot to them because it's an engagement survey. It tells us what they feel about the company, what they feel about their manager, what they feel about the job. So I want to know what they say, but I can't filter through 30,000 comments, right?
Ma'am, through automation.
So I look at AI, I open Copilot, I put those comments into Copilot, and what do I ask Copilot? Give me the top 3 repetitive pain points. Give me the top 3 positives that people feel. Give me the data by country. Give me the data by capability, right? Like you've got NECS, which is Network and Enterprise Cybersecurity. So give me the data for the cybersecurity guys. So what does it do? It will give me a summary of each of these buckets. So AI is used to augment. Now versus you going through 30,000 comments. You wasted your time. A company is paying you for your time. Especially when you're in a senior role, they're paying you for your time. So you have to use AI to augment your tasks. So now coming back to finance and HR, I will still say HR because HR is more dynamic. So finance roles are really good, but assuming you get into a really good company, you get into a company where you learn a lot and where you're able to create value, right? These are back office functions at the end of the day. So you have to be able to get into something where you can be visible. Everything is about visibility. Remember that. If you want to grow in an organization, if you want to grow in your field, in your career, everything is about visibility. People should know who you are, which means when you go for a town hall in your company, you have to be the person who stands up and asks a question. Right? A lot of you have not stood up here only. Right? So you have to be seen. And nobody is going to tell you, oh, that's a dumb question. Never. It will never happen. In fact, the question that you ask, there must be another 20 people who want to know the answer to that. So just get very confident and very comfortable in standing up and asking a question. No one is judging your communication skills. Okay? They want to know the quality of your question, the depth of your question. So if you have a good question, just ask it. You don't have to think too much. So stand up, ask questions, get your visibility. But in general, I still feel like HR has more visibility than finance.
Ma'am, just an extension to that question. Like, I just wanted to know, I was curious about this also, that regarding the hiring and the talent acquisition, has it been reduced from past in comparison to other fields like finance as we see? So in HR, has it been reduced, hirings and talent acquisition?
So most corporate support functions have very lean teams. There are very lean teams. It's a fact. If I know that if I hire 100 people for SAP, I can probably get business for that, right? Which means I will earn on those 100 people. But like I told him also earlier, corporate support functions are cost to company. So there is a limited amount. So like for example, in Fujitsu, India, we must be having around 300 HR people, right? But if I look at HR to finance, there must be 20 finance people, right? So it also depends, because the other thing is finance is still, you can still manage it with tools and systems and a very lean team. For HR, what happens is if your headcount increases, then you'll need more people to do talent acquisition or recruitment. You will need more people for HR business partnering. You will need more people in shared services. So it has more propensity to grow.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, there were girls who asked, yes.
How should we improve our skills and how can we stay motivated in a way that helps in future?
Okay, so you are the only person who can motivate you. Okay, you have to remember that you are the only person who can motivate you. The reason for that is it's not that other people don't motivate you, but if tomorrow somebody might not be around or somebody might not motivate you, so if you're dependent on someone else to motivate you, then there's a chance that you will not be self-motivated. So motivation is completely on you, okay? And you can do very simple things. You can write a nice sentence on a post-it, stick it on your mirror, right? Very simple things that keep you going, that I am the best, I am going to improve my communication skills. These might seem very simple things, but they're not. Do those simple things. Put it on your mirror that I am going to improve my communication skills. I will read 5 pages today, right? I am the best. I will be better than everyone else. I will get the best placement. You have to materialize what you think, right? But motivation is your responsibility, okay? And you can do a good job about it. And don't think of yourself versus others in terms of, okay, they are better than me. You have to think about how can I get better than them. So read, upgrade your skills. When it comes to skills, it's exactly what it is, what you're learning in your college and your soft skills. You have to work on your interpersonal skills. You have to work on your leadership skills. And leadership skill doesn't mean you have to go and lead a team, but generally, how do you get work out of people? Work in groups, right? How do I get people to collaborate? How do I get them to give their best? When you work in teams, you will find that some people work harder and some people don't, right? If you're able to ensure that everybody contributes, then that's a very good leadership skill, okay? Yes? After him, I have a question for you.
Jain ma'am, I had one more question out of curiosity, that since you had your own company, you're a businesswoman and now you're doing job since 3 years. So
4 years.
now at this moment, did you feel like going back to the business or you are happy at where you are?
Yeah, so a very interesting question. Eventually I will go back to business, right? Because I think for everyone somewhere that is like, you know, the ultimate goal. I think a lot of people would be entrepreneurs if they had the backing, right? But in terms of the job, yes, I really enjoy the job. So even when I joined, and it was a new field like I told you, and it was IT, so it was a completely new sector also for me, it was a completely new role for me, but the kind of support that I got from the senior leaders, right? You can go to the head of partner business solutions. And partner business solutions basically is 3S, right? SAP, ServiceNow, Salesforce. The head of partner business services, who was a very senior leader, and he explained everything to me in terms of what was the technology, what were the consulting roles, what were the product roles, right? So in terms of support, Fujitsu is a very, very good company. So there's, if initially when I joined, I was worried, like, I haven't been used to reporting to someone, now I have to report to someone, so will I survive? But it's not like that. It's a very flat structure. You will get a lot of autonomy. So even now, like for a lot of decisions, it's like, it's up to me. I just have to make the decision, but I'm responsible for the consequences, right? So you have a lot of autonomy, you have a lot of power, and you have a lot of support. So in terms of the role, I am definitely very happy, but maybe sometime down the line, I will go back to something. I have a lot of great ideas for certain businesses.
Like me as an individual, I think like working for myself is better than working for someone else.
Everybody thinks that.
Everybody thinks that, right?
Everybody thinks that, but then they just need some unlimited finance and some support system. So eventually, a lot of people do that. That's why a lot of good businessmen, a lot of good people from the corporate eventually become businessmen. Right? It's like you're your own boss. You have your own. You earn as much as the effort you put in.
Yes,
it's not a fixed salary.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Yes. Just one second, I can't hear you.
Jain ma'am, my name is Yogesh. Ma'am, apart from academics and your soft skills, how much your background really matters for the first-time job seekers?
What is background?
Ma'am, like right now I'm pursuing PGDM plus ERP SAP, but I'm from a BA political science background, so that kind of background.
So it doesn't really matter, to be very honest. It doesn't really matter. Even all this clamoring for marks, like people, oh, I got this much in 10th, I got this much in 12th, we don't even look at that, right? Especially for, see, when people are getting entry level, then at times they look at that, or maybe they'll put a base qualifier which says, okay, minimum 60, something like that. But eventually, as you grow in the organization, they're not going to look at your marks, they're not going to look at your graduation background. They might ask you that question in an interview, and it depends on how well you answer it, right? They might say, why BA political to SAP or to finance? So you have to have a very good answer for that.
Okay,
and the answer should be something to do with hard work and whatever, but you have to have a very good convincing answer for that. It should be genuine, don't invent something. But basically, it's absolutely fine as long as you're good at what you do.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So when you say interviews, okay, you have a business requirement, right? Like say, for example, cybersecurity. So the head of cybersecurity is hiring someone. So the niche skills will be tested by business, not by HR, right? So if I have the head of cybersecurity who's sitting with me, so she will test this person's knowledge in terms of his niche skills, right? Whatever the technologies are that she's looking for. So from the scope of the skill, they will check it. From HR perspective, we will look at your generic skills. Can you be a good leader? Can you communicate well? Can you handle a team? Do you have good cross-cultural management? Do you have good leadership skills, right? But niche skills as a part of your technical skill set, that will be judged by someone who's a subject matter expert, who is the person in business. Okay? You're welcome. Yes. Okay. So what do you mean by marketing?
Hello.
Yeah.
Marketing.
You say whatever you want. You don't worry. What do you think marketing is?
Marketing is something which we do to highlight the products, to stand it differently from other products in the market of the same genres.
Okay, so there's, when you say marketing and you're going for a initial placement, right? So you've got two different parts of it. One is marketing, which is like branding, PR, right? Communication. So that is one part of it, and the other part is sales.
Sales. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of times the initial jobs will be more of sales and then later on into marketing if you want to get that way, okay? So if you want to get into marketing, it's not a bad idea. Either you get into hardcore marketing, which means you get into a PR and a branding company, or you get into a big retail brand which has a good marketing and branding department, right? All of these things, if you look at even the Colgates and all the big retail chains, they have got really strong branding departments, marketing and branding departments. So either you get into that, or you have to be willing to go into sales, but try and look at sales from a B2B perspective, like maybe a slightly higher end sales. Okay, but sales people eventually become really good in marketing and branding because they understand the product, they understand the customer, they understand the whole business model. So don't be afraid of that. So if that is the case in marketing and branding, and you said that versus HR. Okay, so I would still say if you have the chance for marketing and branding, then go for that, right? Because it's a different area altogether. If HR interests you, if you're good in numbers, then you go. Yes.
For HR also.
I know a lot of people, especially in India, what happens is people say, I am not good in numbers, so finance is out for me. I don't want to do sales, so sales and marketing is out for me, so I will choose HR. HR, my friends, is all about numbers. You have to know your Excel really well, at least, especially when you're initial years of your experience. You have to know VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, everything. Huh?
I've heard HR is about people.
No, everything is about. What do you do in HR? See, if I have to give business a strategy, okay, about my headcount is currently 7,500. I anticipate that with growing business, it's going to become 9,000, right? But I have to look at data to convince business. So HR, whatever decisions you make, half the work that you do is all dependent on data. And we do such complex data, you will not believe it. It's all about analytics, and the people who do the best in HR are the ones who are really good in analytics. So you have to have good analytical skills.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so now I've scared you from HR.
Nothing like that.
Okay, good. Yes.
Jayan ma'am, my name is Sumit Tambe, and I have one question for you that during your career, for so much long career, do you have any tough times in your career where you have to use all the skills you have in your, and what advice you can give for the students which you learned from your tough time journey or mistakes? Can you share one experience which you faced in your life, in your career?
Yeah, so any level, any part of your career, you will definitely face tough times, right? Irrespective of which field you are in, there will be tough times. For me, I think the toughest was when this whole wave started off, when people had to be, laid off, and there were people who were being removed from the company, because it was the case. Although we still didn't remove as many as a lot of big IT companies did. Like Fujitsu is still a very people-focused organization, so it was still okay. But I think those were some tough decisions when people had to look at performance, look at other things, and say, okay, fine, we have to let go of certain number of people. So that's it's just a difficult situation, because when you're having those conversations and you're looking at that person's face, and we could see some people just break down, So it's difficult. It's like those things are hard. In terms of work, the only thing I would say at times is that maybe the workload at times becomes a lot. So it's just about being able to manage that. Maybe at times you put in a few more hours, maybe at times you put a few less hours, right? But we have hybrid work, which means we go into the office once or twice in the week.
Okay.
So the rest of the time we can still work from home. So if need be, like the time that gets spent on travel and everything, you can still put in your effort. So if workload is a little extra at a certain point of time, it's still something that can be managed.
And ma'am, what advice will you give for the students who wants to work
hard,
with their
work hard. Okay. Work hard. That is it. You have to just be willing to outwork other people. So even the greatest sports people in the world, the greatest businessmen, greatest actors, everyone, right? The ones who have risen to a different level are ones who have outworked other people, right? They will work hard. Do you know that Lata Mangeshkar has not had anything cold in her life? Yes. Right? She has only warm water to drink, and she does her exercises or whatever. Right? She's achieved the pinnacle of success, right? She can turn around tomorrow and say, now forget it, I'm going to have ice cream, right? But they don't. They are very consistent, they're very disciplined. So you have to be disciplined.
Okay.
So that is something which will benefit you your entire life.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, I can hear him, yeah. No. Procurement is basically if I want to buy something for the organization, anything. Say I'm in an IT company and I have L&D department, okay, and I need to get a vendor who will do a training program for me. So procurement will do the full process from start to finish. They will identify vendors, right? They will do the negotiation. They will look at the price. They will negotiate the terms and conditions of that vendor, and then they will onboard that vendor. Tomorrow, if I have an annual event, like we have a foundation day, which is like the annual day. So for that, it's like a very big ticket event. It happens once in a year in all 5 locations. So you'll have an event manager, right, which will manage the entire thing. So that billing runs into crores. So procurement will speak to different vendors, find out who's giving me the best value, then negotiate with them. Not only on price, negotiating also means negotiating on value. So, okay, fine, I fixed the price at this, now what else can you give me? So that is procurement. Procurement is basically procuring your vendors. Yeah, consulting is like from a client perspective. So if he wants to be a financial consultant, like someone spoke about fintech, right? So that means you're offering finance as a service to the client, right? That's like service desk. So you're a specialist in finance. The client is consulting you on your financial expertise, right? It's like that. You're welcome. Yes.
Jai Hind ma'am, I am Krina Patel and we discussed a lot about negotiation. So what are the key points which we need to keep in mind while negotiating so that we can crack the deal to the best of our ability?
Okay. So there is no fixed template for negotiating, but what you have to do is you have to be aware of what your customer wants, right? You have to be, so your product or your service might have certain characteristics, right? You have to identify what does this person wants. If I'm a person who wants a car that is very good in terms of performance, but you're selling me the same car, it's good on performance, but you're selling something else to me, like it's got really great service, but I'm not interested in the service. So the main thing about negotiation is to understand what your customer's needs are, and then you pitch your product based on what they want. So it's called awareness of needs. There's a whole cycle for negotiation, but basically you have to understand what they want. And it could be anything, even if I'm negotiating with somebody for a salary, right? She's saying I want a salary of 30 lakhs, I have a budget of 22 lakhs, right? So first I have to understand what does she bring to the table that is worth 30 lakhs. So I will first get that input from her, what value are you creating? So you have to be able to create that kind of a scenario where you understand what they want, where they're coming from, what is important to them, and what is the midpoint that you can probably solve.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Yes.
Jai Hind ma'am, my name is Sanjana Palkar. I come from a finance background. I have done my graduation specifically in finance and I have experience in finance as well. So in my journey, if I choose to do something else like analytics, so I've spoken to some people in my family or friends, so they say me that if you do something else, your experience and work, also education will be considered invalid. So as a HR, will you consider it as experience if I do in some other field like HR or analytics?
So it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It's not, your experience doesn't become invalid. It becomes redundant for that period of time if you want to get back into finance, right? You have finance background. You want to eventually get into finance. Then if you do something else in the middle, yes, right? Then it means that has got delayed. But if you're really interested in finance, then I would say go in finance. If you're really interested in HR, then just go for HR. It doesn't really matter. Then you're going to make, like I told him, at the most somebody will ask you, okay, how come you did finance and now you're doing HR, right? You have to be able to convince them, right? What interested you in HR? What made you make the shift from finance to HR? But it doesn't really matter as long as you're not planning to go back into finance.
Thank
right?
you.
You're welcome. Yeah. Yeah, you can speak.
You are a businesswoman for long term, and later you lead Fujitsu for in different countries. Then, as a girl, I want to ask you, how do you manage personal and professional life? Because after going to the hostel, I don't feel to talk to my family members because of the studies and self studies.
So I'll tell you something. Okay. I was talking to a woman in Portugal. Okay. And boys, I want you to listen, please, or young men. So I was talking to a woman in Portugal, and it was in a training program, and in the middle we had some little bit of a break. So I asked her, like, she was just telling me about her family, and she said, I have a 3-year-old child. So I asked her, how do you manage work and home? So she said, my husband does 50% of everything. Cleaning, cooking, laundry, taking care of the kids, so I'm fine. Okay? So now my question is, and this is something which I always say when we have diversity connects or forums. How does an Indian woman compete? Now they're both working for Fujitsu, right? How does an Indian woman compete with a woman, forget about men, with a woman from another country who has a very strong support system? Is it fair? So if both are at the same level, both have the same responsibilities, but one is going to go home and start cooking,
Yes,
right? Or packing her husband's bag because he's traveling for work, right? How does she compete? So we always look at diversity and think it's men versus women. No, it's not. It's women versus the system, right? How do you change that? So how do you change that? You don't have to go back and start fighting with your parents and saying that I refuse to do anything. You don't have to do that. But what you have to do is you have to make incremental changes in your life, right? Which means, one, outsource what you can outsource, right? Say for example, if you're living with 3 girls, maybe you all can rotate so that the chores are, whatever. Tomorrow when you get married, you need to establish it right at the start. You understand what I mean?
Yes, ma'am.
So whatever can be outsourced, whatever can be delegated, it should be outsourced and delegated.
Okay.
It should not be a burden to you, right? Whatever you can manage, you can manage. And there are times when people find it difficult initially, and we have something called diversity, which is where we sponsor our diversity resources, and we also have another part of it called male allies. What is that? Yes, male allies. It means that we need a support system in the organization from our men resources for our women resources. Because right now, so you've all heard the term equality, right?
Yes, ma'am.
What is equity? No, not shares. Diversity, equity and inclusion. Yes? Yeah. Okay.
Equity means getting a fair stand and an equal stage.
Yeah, it's something like this. So so basically you say diversity, equity and inclusion. You don't say diversity, equality and inclusion. Equality means it's the same for everyone. Equity means both of us don't have the same starting point, right? So a woman who's in an organization, for example, maybe she's starting behind. Think of a race. It's a 100-meter race. The guy is 20 meters in front. The woman is 20 meters behind and she has got weights tied to her ankles. Do you understand? So equity means I give you an equal starting point. So that's very important. That's why for diversity resources, we say that we have to ensure equity. For that, we have male allies, which means if 2 people, say a woman and a man, are performing equally, then the priority for a promotion should go to the woman resource. You know what is the percentage of women in a lot of companies? Around 30-35%. You know what is the percentage of women in leadership roles? Between say 12 to 18%. Do you know why? Because by the time they reach leadership roles, even though they are so capable, they are unable to manage so many different things, right? It's not because they are less capable. So you have to identify it and you have to make sure that women are getting those chances. So right now in your personal life, you have to just make sure that you have a routine so that you can channelize things that are there. You don't have to talk to people if you don't want to talk to people, right? But you have to ensure that whatever can be removed from your plate of things, remove it. If you can organize things like how you see sometimes these foreigners, they meal prep on Sundays, or they have all their clothes done on a Sunday, so that the rest of the week you're not grinding. So find simple ways of doing things for yourself, but you have to be able to manage both.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay?
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Yes. I'll ask you what her question is, whoever is mumbling here. Yes.
In the interview round, when the HR asked me that what is your next 5-year plan, and if I come up with the answer that I want to do something of my own, like I want to be an entrepreneur, so the HR directly asked me, "Ki, why should I hire you then? Like if you are eventually gonna leave us in the future, why should we hire you?"
Yeah.
So what should my answer be? Like it should be the truth, or it should be manipulated as per the organization?
So you should not, ideally you should not manipulate the answer. Ideally a progressive company would not care that you've said that, because a lot of employees normally move on after 1, 2, 3 years. So whether you start your own company or you join another job, the natural course of events is that a lot of people leave between 1 to 3 years. So it's anyway not there. But you have to assume that that maturity may not be there in the person who's interviewing you. So why tell them that I want to start my own company in 5 years? You don't have to give them that information. My recommendation is, it's not required, because you don't know if you're going to do it also, right? You might join the company, you might like the work, you might stick around. Maybe you'll delay 5 years, will become 8 years or 7 years or 10 years. Maybe you won't start it eventually. Maybe you'll start it in 2 years, right? Then you can just decide to move on and do it in 2 years. You don't have to give them every single piece of information. It's like saying I'm joining a job and I'm saying that I'm getting married next month, so I'm going to take a 1 month break or something, right? So it's not necessary. You don't really know if you're going to do it in 5 years' time. So there's no need of giving them that information. Okay? So you're not manipulating anything, you're withholding that information. It's not necessary. Yeah. Okay. So everything is done. No one else has any questions. How many engineers in the room? Okay. Engineering in? Computer science. Okay. How many BCom, BA? Oh, it's almost balanced. Okay. And what is the rest? BBA. Ah, okay. BMS. Okay. Okay. So small numbers. Okay. So any difference in terms of engineers versus non-engineers, or you'll all get along? You'll all stay in the same hostel, right? Yeah. So you'll all get along really well. Yes. So engineers. So people sometimes feel that engineers are harder to convince than people who come from other streams, right? Is it true? Okay. So engineers are easy to convince if you have a logical reason for it. Okay, good. So no other questions?